Good evening. It's Friday, May 2nd, 2025. It's my pleasure and honor to be speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich. How are you doing today, Mr.
Good,
Jeckovich?
very good, thank you.
You're looking well.
Well,
Did you have a nice dinner?
yes,
Okay. All right. We're reading Mr. Jekovich's book. It's titled Their Mother's Sons. We're on the second time around. And how many pages is that book?
849.
Yeah, we're on chapter 5, second time around. And this chapter is titled Getting to Know You. He met the lady in basic training in a town called Owensboro, Kentucky, and has been dating her several weeks. So we're reading a little bit about that, and the boot camp, the basic training in Evansville, Indiana, which is not really too far from Owensboro.
yeah.
Very close, right?
Yeah.
A bus ride. How many years did it take you to write this book, Mr. Jackson?
How many days take to write that book?
Yeah,
6 months.
that's not bad. I'm sure you had no help from a computer
No,
or Google or anything like that.
No.
You hand wrote the book, correct?
right.
That's very interesting. And one of the original copies is at the World War II Museum in New Orleans, Louisiana. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Yes, he does. Well, I'm going to read a few of these pages, but I'll need your dog tag number.
420965.
Okay. All right, we're running around chapter 5 and page 110. As I held her, I mentioned that the Army had something to say about where I would go, and besides, she would not be going with a dog face like me. Instead, she should be seeing officers and not enlisted men. For a quick second, I detected a flash of temper, but she quickly represented it and said I was foolish to talk like that. The grandfather clock in the corner chimed 2300 hours just as her mother pulled into the driveway. I quickly reminded Ann that the last bus left for camp at 0100 hours. Were you ever late getting back?
No.
She nodded and straightened her hair and brushed her skirt. Miss Mahaney stated that she had a good time chatting with her sister and suggested to Ann that she should make some coffee before we left for the bus station. As we talked about the many irrelevant topics, Miss Mahaney looked at Ann and inquired if she was all right, as she appeared distraught. Ann said that she was fine and that we had to leave for the bus station. I said goodnight to Miss Mahaney and thanked her for everything and waited for Ann outside as I talked to her mother for a moment. As we drove up, I asked Ann if her mother thought we were quarreling. She asked a bit upset why I would even think of something like that. I did not answer, but she did say that she told her mother that I expected to be shipped out overseas before the year was up. Her mother was distressed at the news and felt sorry for both of us. All the way to the bus station, Ann was quiet in deep thought. This was the second time I observed this type of behavior. Since we're together, I attempted to think of something to snap her out of it. This state that she's gotten herself into, but to no avail. It was still early for the bus when Ann stopped the car. I reached over and kissed her. She began crying and buried her head to my shoulder. I held her tightly and kissed her softly. on top of her head, telling her that everything would work out. She blurted out between the sobs that she was going to miss me and did not know what to do about it. I said that we could still write to each other, but she said that was not the same. I decided to change the subject, as I could see that was upsetting her. I said that I would keep in touch with her the next several weeks, and with the possibility of a furlough coming up, perhaps we could work something out. You have to go home, and it's out of the question that I'll go with you. It'd be awful, she averted. I did not answer, but only kissed her gently. She was no longer crying. I told Ann that I would call her the first chance I got and would try to call her every other day. I would inform her if I was going on furlough. I then asked her about meeting on weekdays, as I knew she went to school every night. It was almost an impossibility to meet her under these circumstances. She whispered in between sobs, "Anytime you are free, come at night, call me at home before 6, and I'll meet you." I thought for a minute and quickly said, the arrangement wouldn't give us much time together. The hour's drive from camp is 1,900 hours, and the last bus at 100 hours. This gives us about 5 hours together. "That's great," she quickly exclaimed, grasping my hand and holding it tightly in both of her hands. Just then the bus pulled up. She looked at me and tears began to develop in her eyes. She began sobbing again, threw her arms around me, and kissed me with tears rolling down her cheeks. I held her tightly and tried to console her, but it was to no avail. She was terribly upset, and I felt bad for her, thinking that I was the only one that had gotten her into this predicament. The bus driver honked his horn, and I quickly grabbed my overnight bag, gave Ann one last kiss, and ran for the bus. As the bus pulled away, I looked back. Ann was standing there waving and crying. As she began to fade away in the distance, I wondered if I would ever see her again. Did you ever see her again?
No.
Never. Okay. Never seen her again. You've never seen her again. Did you ever talk to her again?
No.
80 years later, you did.
Yeah. That was that was a chore.
Yeah, Mr. Jeckovich, at this chapter, we never talked or seen each other again. However, 80 years later, yes, 80 long.
Well, she got married in between, didn't she?
Well, 80 years is a long time.
Yeah.
80 years later, Mr. Jeckovich called her. She was still living in Owensboro, Kentucky, and believe it or not, she answered the phone. Tell us how it went.
Oh, she's real feeble, yeah.
She's real feeble.
Yeah.
She was way up in her 90s at this point.
Yeah.
So after you hung up, what did you do?
I had to get back to the base.
No, when 80 years later, and you talked to Ann on the phone 80 years later, and you said she was real feeble, but she did answer the phone. What did you do with her picture?
I told her I'll put my mother's picture up.
Yeah. Ann's picture laid in Mr. Jekovich's office for 8 decades on the wall. He removed it, the paint was stained, and then he put his mother's picture back up. So now it's going complete round circle to the book, Their Mother's Sons. And what did you do with Ann's picture?
I wrapped it up in the towel, put it in the safe deposit box or something.
Okay. So we knew how that ended. Okay, let's see. As the bus pulled away, I looked back Ann was standing there waving and crying as she began to fade away into the distance. I wondered if I'd ever see her again.
Never happened.
Never happened. There it is. Love story over. Yeah. There was no one else on the bus, and I began going over in my mind all that happened in the past several months. I kept thinking about Ann and wondered if this would be my last trip to Owensboro. I should have done more to assure her that we could arrange something more permanent. We had thought about marriage, but decided that would be foolhardy and reckless. What if I got killed or wounded so bad that I could not function as a husband or a father? Also, there was Ann's school, which she desperately wanted to finish. Let's see. I admired her for her integrity and her virtue, and I wanted to take with me, I wanted that to be with me forever, wherever I went. I did not realize it completely then, but in the 3 months ahead, I would be thankful for the wonderful memories and afforded me and how they sustained me. I would cherish them during the ordeal ahead. We had met by chance, the odds of being in our favor of our never meeting, but by a set of strange circumstances, we were meshed with one another, and from the very beginning, there was an aura of mystical awareness of one another that blossomed into a cordial friendship that quickly evolved into mutual love for one another. We had much going for us, understanding, enduring respect, but most of all, we had a powerful and intense love for one another that was rare as well as beautiful. I will never forget Ann. She still lives in my memories. Wow. So you never seen her again. Wow. Minutes, please. Mr. Jeckovich, by the way, was awarded many medals during World War II as a teenage boy. He received the Bronze Star Medal, the Purple Heart, Army Good Conduct Medal, American Campaign Medal, European, African, Middle Eastern Campaign Medal, with 3 Brown Service Stars, World War II Victory Medal, Army of Occupation Medal with a German clasp, Combat Infantry Badge, Sharpshooter Badge and Carbine, Pistol and Machine Gun Bars, Marksman Badge with Rifle Bar, and Honorable Service Lapel from World War II. Mr. Jeckovich, we're way behind on our text questions. Do you feel like answering any?
Yeah.
Okay, let me pull out today's and see where we stand. Okay, I'll start with these. Mr. Jeckovich, by the way, was born in 1925, right in the middle of the Great Depression. Did that affect you at all?
No, I was small then. I was small.
Yeah.
I didn't feel any rigors about it.
And now we're in the year of 2025, and Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100. Keep in mind, when Mr. Jeckovich was growing up, life was a lot simpler. We didn't have cell phones that rob us of our freedom. We don't have these damn laptops that actually rob us of our freedom. They didn't even have phones back then or TVs. It was a simple life. Gasoline was 7 cents a gallon. Fill up your big car for $1.50, $1.25 maybe. houses, real nice houses, $2,000. Cars, $500. It was a much simpler life. Now today, it's very complicated. We say we have all these conveniences of cell phone, X, laptops, TV, to make our lives easier, but we don't. You're a slave to them all. Look how sad it is next time you go into a restaurant. Young kids have their cell phones right next to them at dinner.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be sharing your dinner with your family. How is that? That cell phone is above the family. And I honestly think if a kid from 16 and under has a cell phone, I think it's some form actually of child abuse. Because what's the kid doing all day? He's playing games, he's looking up crap, and there's no concentration in his life, and there's no closeness to family as long as he's on that thing 24/7. A lot of people laugh, and they call it its babysitter, but it's a horrible way to look at it. It's a horrible way to look at it. Take it. Most parents don't have any guts. But if you had guts, take it and throw it in the trash and make him go outside and play. He'll be better for it in 15 years, right?
Yeah.
I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. So there's all kinds of questions. By the way, Mr. Jekovich's mind is like a library. You can ask him any questions you want about any subject you want. It doesn't matter. And he'll answer them. He'll answer them. Any questions and any text messages you want to ask for Mr. Jeckovich, please dial 407-366-0000. Once again, any questions, 407-366-0000. Okay, let's see what we got here. Mr. Jeckovich, where were you born and raised?
Niagara Falls, New York.
How was Niagara Falls, New York when you were
Beautiful
born?
city, beautiful city.
Beautiful city. It's absolutely amazing. It's a wonder of the world. Not only that it's got that beautiful, monstrous falls, but over 100 years ago, all the illegal, hard-working immigrants, they came over, Polish and Italians and some Greeks, and they all settled in the Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
There was beautiful mansions along the river, stone's throw from the actual falls itself. So you were born in Niagara Falls,
Right.
and you lived in the same house almost all your life,
Yeah.
right? Well, 80, 90 years later, what's the falls like now?
It's a dump.
It's a dump. How does it look?
Terrible. It's all shut up. Nobody's living there.
Everything's abandoned.
Yeah.
I heard that a big Pakistan population has moved in.
Oh, and the people moving out of the countries now coming in there.
Yeah, because a lot of the illegal immigrants are being removed, so they went across to the Canadian side called Niagara Falls, Ontario, and now they're destroying that.
Yeah.
Now they're destroying that. When Mr. Jeckovich's father came in, well over 100 years ago, from Russia, he came through the proper channels. He came through Ellis Island. He came, then he ended up in Niagara Falls, and he worked very, very hard with 3 jobs to give his family a better life. He came here to work, give his family a better life, and make America better too. These illegal immigrants coming in, they come not to work, but they come to work the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got their hands out everywhere. They come to work the system. Wow. When you moved into 3063 Orleans Avenue, was there many houses on the street?
No, there was only 3 houses on that street.
That must have been nice.
The street was cinder. It wasn't paved or nothing.
That must have been nice. Mr. Jeckovich, what was your family life like before the war?
Well, I was young then.
But what was your family like?
It was a moderate family. We had got good food. Easter time, we got dressed up.
So you had a nice family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Was your mother a devout Roman Catholic?
Oh, yeah.
And what churches did she attend?
Holy Trinity,
Okay.
Holy Rosary.
Yeah, every one of them. What kind of work did you do, Mr. Jeckovich, before you were drafted into World War II?
Worked for Coysdale,
What was that?
sheet metal.
Sheet metal?
Yeah.
Like, what would you make in sheet metal?
We go to every factory in Buffalo and Niagara Falls, putting up ductwork.
So you got to know what the factories looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then some of them you wouldn't work there after you got out of service because you had a beforehand look, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So which one did you
I
decide on
picked up
working?
Kimberly Clark,
And that was the cleanest at the time?
cleanest cup, yeah.
Okay. What were your hobbies and interests as a boy?
Woodworking and electrical, pulling around the house.
I see. Before you got drafted into the Army, were you married?
No,
No? Okay. Tell us a little bit about the different training camps you went to. Just the areas. What different areas?
Breckenridge was the first camp I was in. That was the start of it.
And what about San Antonio?
Well, I was there for a while, yeah.
Yeah. Which one did you like the best?
Breckenridge.
That was a nice camp.
Yeah,
Was that in Evansville, Indiana?
yeah.
Okay. 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 What branch of the military did you serve in?
Army.
Army. What was your initial impressions of military life?
It was good, regiment. They took care of you. They took after you. They looked after you.
Where were you stationed at during the war?
Over in Europe.
Europe.
Every country over there.
Every country. Were you being interested, instead of going to Europe, to going to the Pacific?
No, I didn't want to go to the Pacific, no.
Why didn't you want to go to the Pacific?
Oh, the people are crazy over there.
Tunnels.
Yeah, they get in the tunnels and everything else.
And some of the Japanese were fighting into the 70s. They didn't know the damn war was over with.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
7 minutes.
What combat experience did you have?
Combat experience, staying alive.
So you were front line
Oh, yeah.
as a teenager. What type of weapons did you use?
Well, I was qualified for carbine, pistol, rocket launcher, flamethrower, and the small rifle.
Did you mostly primarily use heavy duty machine guns?
But yeah, we were heavy weapons.
And is that weapon so powerful and it shoots off so many shells per minute that the barrel gets red hot?
Yeah.
And what did you do to cool the barrel?
Antifreeze.
And you ran water through it, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What happens if you grab the barrel?
You could do your hand right down to the bone.
When you were in the combat, were you in the infantry, medic, or a pilot?
Infantry.
Now, front line.
Oh yeah.
You're not going to get more front line than infantry, right?
Yeah. Well, I was 33. I was age. That's what they were looking for. 33s.
Military code for teenagers is 33. And that's what Mr. Jeckovich was, and everyone else was a 33. It's hard to understand this, but tell us the difference between a frontline combat fighter at 18 versus a frontline combat fighter at 25.
Most of them didn't survive.
Because they didn't have stamina?
No, they didn't have stamina. They didn't have the outlook. They had different priorities. They were married, had kids, and everything.
So they had a lot of worries.
Yeah.
You had to be really street fight to survive this war. And you had to have a lot of energy. Right?
Yeah.
So 18 years old versus 25 years old is a huge difference.
Yeah.
How would a 40-year-old do on the front line?
How old?
How would a 40-year-old fighter?
They wouldn't make it.
They wouldn't make it out for a day.
They were discharged.
They'd get rid of them.
No, they'd never get overseas.
They'd never make it.
No.
The government wouldn't even let them go. the government wouldn't let them go, right? They'd be too old.
Well, they put him on some stupid job.
Like rear echelon,
Yeah,
cooking or typing or
yeah.
doing
Guard
food.
duty someplace.
Okay. Time, please, minutes? Wow. What major battles,
4.5.
what major battles did you participate in?
Major battles?
Yeah.
Battle of Bulge, but you know, battle. You're in and out. You have heavy times, you have slow times.
So a lot of these names were put on battles after the war, but your fighting abilities was very fluid. You were moving all over the place. And half the time you didn't know where the hell you were.
No, they never told you.
And if you asked them, what would they say?
Nothing. They weren't saying nothing. They probably didn't know themselves.
They were, so it's very fluid. These names of these battles came after the fact, and a lot of these teenagers had no idea where they were fighting, and most of them, if the commanders knew, wouldn't tell them anyways. Where were you during D-Day?
I was home. I was back in Breckenridge.
Okay. And where were you during the bombing of Pearl Harbor?
I was at home Sunday afternoon skating on the creek.
No kidding. So on December 7th, 1941, you're skating on a creek as a young boy without a care in the world.
Yeah,
And your mother came up and said, boy, I think we got trouble.
yeah,
She said, you're going to probably go, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And she was right.
I was out 6 months later. I was in.
Your ass was gone. Wow. How did you feel when you learned about the atomic bomb?
Atomic bomb. That was the best thing that happened.
Why is that?
Well, it saved a lot of lives.
Otherwise, the war would have continued,
Oh yeah.
and the amount of casualties would have been very,
You could have a lot more D-days.
yeah. What was your reaction to the war's end?
Wars then,
Yeah,
relief.
relief. But you were worried when the European wars end because you thought that they're going to ship you out to the
That's what
Pacific.
there was. That was the rumor. They had the frontline people over there already.
So most of the combat vets in the European theater became very worried.
Yeah.
But there was one man that wanted to go.
Patton wanted to go right away. He went over there. Yeah.
Yeah, so Patton didn't want to waste any time. He wanted to get fighting.
Yeah, but he got killed. Poor guy. Yeah.
It was
poor
a
guy.
non-related
Yeah.
military actions. What do you remember when you finally returned home?
Well, I missed the house, but it looked dreary then.
It looked what?
Dreary.
Why is that?
Well, I mean, it was an old. The house was old. The neighborhood was all filled up now. The houses on both sides.
Oh, yeah. So you moved into a new house, 2 or 3 houses on the street,
Yeah.
and now the houses were filled.
Everything was filled. You didn't see the street. You didn't see the fields or nothing now.
Why do you think it looked dreary when it was the best house your mother and father ever bought?
Well, when they bought it, was in good shape. The neighborhood was in good shape.
And then he was gone for a few years.
Yeah, minutes.
1.5.
So you were basically the caretaker of it.
Yeah.
Without your hands on that house, it didn't look good.
No.
You had to whip it into shape.
Yeah.
I'm sure the list was long.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm sure your mother gave you a long list, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, what are some of the things your mother would put on a list?
Do the painting, clean the cellar up, get the grass straightened out outside, paint the house outside.
The list was big.
Oh, this was big, yeah.
When you came home, was your mother real happy to see you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Do you ever stay in contact with some of the soldiers you're with?
No.
No.
Did you ever go to a reunion or anything?
I went to one and that was it. I went to one and that was all.
It didn't work out?
No.
Where was the reunion at?
It was in Evansville, Indiana.
Oh,
Wow, that was nice.
that's neat. 10
That was
seconds.
nice.
10 seconds.
Wow, a reunion. That was really nice.
Yeah.
You never went to another?
No, no.
You had enough?
Well, those old guys were